What if I told you there's a single cultural philosophy that quietly shapes how over 2 billion people in South Asia live, work, and lead? Today, we're going to unpack this powerful idea. It's called Guzara, and believe me, understanding it might just change the way you think about leadership altogether.
It often starts with something simple, some piece of advice passed down from your parents or grandparents. Imagine being told, be quiet and Guzara kun. Now, this doesn't just mean don't talk. It's so much deeper. It's an instruction to get along, to make it work, to watch what you say and how you say it. It's really a whole philosophy for how to move through the world.
So, could that one simple phrase actually be the key to a complex leadership system used all across Afghanistan? Let's dive in and find out what it can teach all of us.
Okay, so first things first, we've got to unpack what Guzara actually means. And as you're about to see, it is way more than just a single word.
At its heart, Guzara is the art of survival and social harmony, all rolled into one. It's the skill of navigating really tricky situations with a lot of patience and a kind of win-win attitude. It's about keeping relationships intact, saving face, and sometimes taking the path of least resistance just to keep the ball rolling.
But here's where things get really interesting. See, Guzara isn't just one single idea. It's a duality. It has two very distinct but equally important sides to it.
On one side, you have getting by. This is that raw survival instinct. Think of engineers who move to a new country and start driving taxis to provide for their families. It's about doing whatever it takes to make ends meet. Then, on the other side, there's getting along. This is the cooperative, social part. It's about building unity and a shared vision, which, let's be honest, can often be the tougher of the two.
Now you might be thinking, okay, Guzara is all about the people, but what about actually getting stuff done? Well, that's where its essential counterpart comes into play, a little thing called Idara.
Idara is the world of tasks, rules, and discipline. It's the skill of managing a project, enforcing standards, and making sure the work gets done right and on time. So if Guzara is the social glue holding everything together, Idara is the engine that actually drives things forward.
So what happens when you take these two powerful forces, Guzara, which is all about people, and Idara, which is all about tasks, and you put them together? What do you think you get?
Well, when you combine them, you create something even bigger. You get Rahbariat, and this is the real goal.
Rahbariat is what we would call true leadership. It's having the wisdom to know when you need to focus on relationships and when you need to focus on the task at hand. It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about strategically balancing both to win in the long run. A real leader, a Rahbar, has absolutely mastered this dynamic balance.
And there it is, the complete model, right there in front of you. It's this beautiful, delicate balance between people and tasks that really defines what it means to be a truly effective leader.
But, and this is a really big but, what happens when this balance is totally lost? What happens when there's way too much emphasis on Guzara, on just getting along and never ever rocking the boat? Well, it can have some pretty disastrous consequences.
Let's look at a powerful real-world example, the construction of the National Sports Stadium in Kabul, Afghanistan. This was supposed to be a project of huge national pride, but it went terribly, terribly wrong.
Get this, the project's fatal flaw was so simple it's almost hard to believe. The stadium seats were designed so close together that an average adult literally couldn't sit down comfortably. Now, the engineers and workers on site almost certainly saw this design flaw, but out of respect for authority or maybe just fear of causing trouble, they didn't speak up. That culture of Guzara, of just getting by and not challenging your superiors, led to a massive waste of money, and that right there is the core danger. When that get-along part of Guzara goes to an extreme, it can completely shut down the critical thinking and task focus of Idara. It leads people to just accept a flawed reality, even when they know better.
So the big question is, how do you find the right balance? Well, it turns out a really powerful metaphor can help us understand the different ways to approach managing tasks.
Think of Idara as a spectrum. On one end, you have the allhanger, which means blacksmith, managing with force and a hammer just to get the job done. But on the other end, you have the zargar, the gemologist, someone who carefully and patiently develops each person, inspiring them to shine. Real leadership is knowing when you need to be a blacksmith and when you need to be a gemologist.
And this all builds into a really practical framework for leadership. A true leader has to adapt, so if you've got an employee who's both unable and unwilling, you need a high task focus. That's Idara, to just tell them and show them what to do.
But if they're able but just unwilling, then you need a high people focus. That's Guzara, to support and motivate them. The key is to figure out the situation and then apply the right mix.
So the path forward is actually pretty clear. Step 1, you master the art of Guzara, your people skills. Step 2, you master the discipline of Idara, your task skills. And then finally, you achieve true leadership, Rahbariat, by developing the wisdom to know exactly which skill to use and when.
When you boil it all down, what this entire philosophy teaches us is that leadership isn't just one thing. It's about creating this perfect harmony between your head, your logic, your planning, your task orientation, which is Idara, and your heart, your empathy, your relationships, your people skills, which is Guzara.
And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? This incredibly rich, nuanced model of leadership comes from Afghanistan, but its wisdom, that's universal. So the question for you is, in your work, in your community, in your own life, how can you better balance the heart and the head to become a better leader?